Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to my channel, and today I am very excited to work on Laravel Reverb. Now, Laravel Reverb is a first-party WebSocket server introduced by Laravel team, and I am very excited to get started with it. Now, recently I have been part of a YouTube live on Bhushan's channel where three of us, me, Bhushan and Jigger, explored how to get started with Laravel Reverb. But that was really the basics, I would say, like the hello world of WebSockets, where we basically installed Reverb and then did a little bit of Laravel echo coding and broadcasting to get the basic communication between the server and the browser through a WebSocket. But in this video, I'm going to go a little deep. This is not just the hello world. What I'm trying to do is I will show you my approach. What I'm trying to do here is in my GitlabMx project. So we have this sample GitLab project, and this project has two issues. So what I'm trying to do is when any change is made to this GitLab ticket, right now what happens is I get webhook notifications on my application and I'm consuming it and updating my database. When I put my real-time configurations in, what would happen is if I'm on this page, automatically the thing will change. Now, I know it may not be very well suited for this situation, and I completely understand that. It is a great way to show you how real-time communication in Reverb will work. Alright, so without wasting much time, let's get started. I will show you how to configure things based on the documentation so that you guys are aware of how things needs to be done. So let's go into the documentation, and then the first thing is my application is still on Laravel 10. I'll just show you that. Okay, Composer. The framework is on 10.10. Actually, it's 4.8, right? And that would mean there is a little bit of change in the way we need to configure Reverb on our application. So I'll go to the 10x documentation. I need to go through an upgrade path for my application, but something that I'll need to address later. So first of all is I need to Composer require Reverb, which is at beta. So why don't we go ahead and do that? Now I am running that already, so shouldn't take much time. Okay. And I will also install Livewire because I don't want right now to introduce a lot of JavaScript in this application. My idea is to have a component, Livewire component, which will react to the socket data. Okay, this is done. Reverb install. So what this would do is, let me see if they have already mentioned it. So once the package is installed, you may run Reverb's install command to publish the configuration, add Reverb required environment variables, and enable event broadcasting to your application. So with this in place, basically a lot of things do change. Would you like to enable Reverb broadcasting? Yes. And if I now do git status, okay, that's a bit weird. So the app configuration has changed, broadcasting has changed, and I have received a reverb.php. So what is the change in app.php? Let's see. Right. So the broadcast service provider was added over here, which is definitely required. And then the broadcasting configuration is added over here. So Reverb, and when all these environment keys are added. I can't show you my environment key right now because it has all those GitLab keys. But yes, with that command, you will get them. So you can be rest assured everything is configured. What is happening over here is inside connections, basically there is already a pusher configuration and the Reverb configuration is added. We have an app key, secret, Reverb app ID, all of them are created by the default configuration, and then certain options. And there's one thing which you should be aware of. Where is that thing about hosts? I wanted to show you that. Right, it's in the reverb.php file. So this is also something which is created. Okay, let's go with the flow. let's hold on. Let's understand what is happening next up. So it does say that in order to establish a connection to Reverb, a set of Reverb application credentials must be exchanged between the client and server. Okay, and these are the ones. So these variables are also being picked by Vite on the front end, some of them, so that the communication can be made. And in here, they allow origin, as I told you, over reverb.php, right? Right now, we are allowing connections to the WebSocket server from literally any domain. But obviously on production, you will have to change that. However, to be honest, I haven't deployed it on production so far. I think after that, everything is set. We will start the server using reverb start, but there is a debugging flag, and I would say initially run with that because it does give you a lot of useful information. So server is running. One thing that needs to be done is I'll have to make some changes to my front end scaffolding because the Laravel broadcasting thing and Reverb will connect using echo. And although there is some boilerplate code already written, but I would present it in a way which I saw happens inside a Laravel 11 default installation, and if you install Reverb. So let's see how that is done. Okay, I'll explain you the changes that I will be doing. So we have this bootstrap.js, app.js, and what I would like to do is have a JS file called echo.js. And then inside my bootstrap, there is a little bit of configuration over here, which I need to cut from this thing and put it here. Now, this is not a mandatory thing, but I saw this in the 11 installation. I found this to be better because of the separation of concerns. So yeah, I highly recommend you can do that. So I will install Laravel Echo, Pusher.js, and yeah, feel free to use Pusher.js because we are not using a Pusher app key. So there's no chance of having any kind of cost associated with it. If you have ever used the Spatty's WebSocket package, you will also know that they were also using the same broadcaster, and we could put any kind of key in here and the application would work. Reverb is kind of doing the similar thing. Okay. Now we have created this file, but obviously I will need to import that. So import JS build is working. This JS file is over here. And with this, let me also add the resources, the JavaScript file, which I am not doing right now. Okay. So I'll just add it like this, JS app.js. Okay. So the Vite will start compiling and adding those JavaScript files. And let's try to see if the WebSocket connection was established. So we can go over here. Inside the network tab, you will have the WS thing. You can look into that and you will see we are getting it. Okay. So the WebSocket connection is established. If you see over here as well, this is the WebSocket server. Maybe I'll just reduce these things a little bit. Okay. And yeah, you can see stale connections, inactive connections, stale connections, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, this is how things are being treated. And this will only come in, I think, in the debug mode. No, there is some data which will be available in the debug mode. These are typically, I think, available even if you run without the flag. Let me actually try that. Let's see. Why say think when we can actually do that and understand what is happening. Okay, so those things are not coming anymore, right? The connection is getting established. There's no confusion about it. See echo.js, that's fine, but yes, no debugging of information. So yeah, we will keep this. And now does that show anything? Even now we are not seeing anything. Anyways, I'll figure that out maybe. Okay, what next? So we have some bit of JavaScript now, and we have our Laravel Reverb working. So the next thing that we need to do is, I guess you would have seen already, is broadcasting. Now, I'm not going to go into the deep details of how broadcasting works, but I'll give you a quick introduction. So what is happening is, when the WebSocket connection is created, the browser, okay, this browser has a WebSocket connection, which we saw in the network. Now, this connection is kind of constant, unlike the REST connections where the browser is making an API call because of some user interaction or something else, and then it gets the data and then the connection is closed. The server is not in contact with the client anymore. But in WebSocket, that is not the case. The connection is on, and we can see that there is some bit of activity happening. So when we broadcast something inside our Laravel code, server will understand that, and if that broadcasted event or data is something which one of the client connected to the WebSocket server is supposed to receive. So for example, when we are doing a chat, right? If it is a one-to-one chat, there is a channel created between those two users, and when the server gets a chat message, it would broadcast the message to the other person because the WebSocket connection is created, and the client will receive that data and it will show it on the browser. So without any HTTP call, without any round trip, we are able to show it. Same happens with Laravel. We have a channels.php file where we will define our broadcast channel, and I will do that right now. The channel will have a name, almost like how routes have a name. So we will do broadcast channel, and I will name it GitLab. Now, to simplify things, a channel can return true or false, which will decide whether a particular user can access the channel. So for example, this particular thing, this channel is a user ID based thing. So when an ID is sent as part of the broadcast data, this channel will check that, and if it finds that the current user ID is equal to the ID, or rather the user ID and the ID both are equal, right, then only the channel is active for that user. Otherwise, that data will not be sent. So that is how a socket server is ensuring that if I'm chatting with someone, my data, which was supposed to go to someone else through the WebSocket, is not delivered to some third person. Okay, that's how this thing is managed. And this is important. Right now, I'm setting it to true. You can do it authentication based as well, because my application really doesn't have any very user specific data. It's something which is for the project, so everyone can have access. And you can, like we have this route list, we can also have something called as channel. What was it? Channel list. Yes. So I can see that I have a GitLab channel in here. That is done. Next, what do we have? For broadcasting, we need to create an event. Otherwise, how do we do that? So as you can see in my Laravel IDEA plugin, it also gives me an option to say whether it is a broadcast or not, and whether it is a private channel or not. So right now I'm not doing private channel. What I'm doing is a public one. So I'll create this event, issue updated maybe, because when I receive the webhook, there is some update which is happening. So I'll just fire that event, and that's about it. As you can see, it should implement the should broadcast interface. Otherwise, it won't broadcast. And instead of the presence channel, what I will do is I'll just do channel. This is the public channel. Okay. And I will name this channel obviously GitLab. This needs to be same as what we have defined over here. Okay. Now my event is ready. Like any event, if you have any public property in that event, it will be accessible, and those kind of stuffs can be done. I'm not going into that details right now. So we have an event, and what I will do is broadcast that. Now, how do I broadcast that? So what is happening is, let me do GitlabMx webhook controller. So those of you who are not aware of the application, I will just give you a quick brief of what is happening. So I get these issues inside a project when GitLab webhooks are fired. So like if I have something like creating issue for real-time test, and if I do create, if I come over here, it should have received that. Is there any error? Let me quickly look at that. I'll have to look at the, what do you say, ngrocks admin, and yes, I have an internal error. Let me quickly fix that. Is any of my test failing, first of all? Because I think some code is in between its state, and that's why maybe it is failing, or it's a view. I have cleared my logs, so this will be interesting. Why am I getting a 500? Assigned to cannot be null. Okay. I'll have to kind of fix that, because I assume that every ticket will be assigned to, which is not the case. So I don't have those tests as well. So as you can see, your tests are as good as what you do. So yeah. Right, so this is how the test is created, but obviously I had to refresh. And what I'm planning to do is, whenever some update is happening on the ticket, right, it will be immediately visible. Let me now fast track a bit, because I think I have covered very little in this time. So we will go a little faster now. So I have a GitLab webhook controller where all the webhooks are consumed, and I have handlers for them. You can look at my previous videos to understand how that was done. But yeah, in a nutshell, whenever a webhook is coming from GitLab, this is the file where we are handling this. I'm doing some magic inside the service, and then what I want to do is I need to dispatch, not fire, issue updated event dot, sorry, not even dispatch, it's broadcast. Okay, so I'll broadcast this, and now what I would need to do is quickly also install Livewire, because as I told you, I will be managing it through Livewire. I don't want to have any JavaScript right now. So quickly over here, composer require, all of these things are ready for me. So I'm just redoing it. I'll create a component. I should have in my reverb install. No, yeah, this one. So this is PHP artisan make Livewire GitLab issue view. This is one component that I will create, and then I'll just close these things first. And we have GitLab issue view. It opens up a view file as well, and the issue is being rendered on a blade file, which is view of an issue. Okay, so I hope you are not getting confused. This is one blade file. This component has its own blade file, and what I'm trying to do over here is take this entire markup from here that will get rendered inside the Livewire component, and I'll just do Livewire this, and it should kind of render it, with the only caveat is that I still need to pass the issue and the project. So what I will do is, like any Livewire component, I can do something like project is this, and issue is this. Okay, so now that we have some data over there, I'll have some public variable. One is project issue and maybe I'll do a mount. So inside the mount, what I will do is do project equals, and when we send certain properties, props to a component, we get them inside the mount as arguments. So I should get this. So this is project, and this issue is this. Okay, this is done. Now I will have one more function, which is refresh. And what I want to do is call this function when there is any update. Okay, so when I get a broadcast that an issue is updated, this function should get triggered, and what it will do is right. So what I'm doing is on refresh, this project becomes the latest entry from the database. I'm sending the ID, sorry, and when I send, and I'm also populating issue. I'm making those queries, okay? But then, how will this get triggered? So what happens is Livewire gives us the on attribute, and I will tell you where that is in the documentation so that you know that inside events, in the documentation, go down somewhere over here, you will see real-time events using Laravel Echo. We have the ability to do something like this. Okay, so now what we will do is in here we will do echo, and then we will name our channel comma the name of the event. So our event is issue updated. I'm just going to copy that so that I don't make any mistake. And now if everything is done correct, let me see. I will edit the description, add something, save changes. I got a webhook and this didn't update. Well, why that happened? If I refresh, this is coming. So let's try and debug. All right, so finally I was able to get it to work, and I figured out what the problem was. Basically, when I tried to install the packages through this, where is that thing? Using this PHP Storm interface, it didn't get installed properly, and hence Echo was not properly available. I mean, Echo was not available, and hence the listener was not there. Okay, and now with all this setup, as you can see, we are able to, if I update something, new is coming here. If I hit save, and if I just go to the tab, you see it immediately so shows up, and that thing will update even without focus. I think the socket understands that the connection was not active, so it didn't update. But if I do add something more and hit save, it adds that. So as you can see in real time, it is doing that. Right now, a few things to quickly check if they are really needed. First of all, I have a doubt whether I need this because I'm already doing GitHub issue view, right? That component that I have, GitHub issue. Sorry, it's issue view, updated event, and this is my Livewire component. So I already have this. So the question is, do I really need this? So I'll just remove that, and npm is updated. I'll just refresh my page and then try to get rid of this and let's see. Okay, so the JavaScript is not required because I can confirm what is happening is this is the only thing responsible for making that change. So yeah, I think that's about it, guys. That's how you set up Reverb. We are able to get the details of this thing the moment I change anything, and that pretty much reflects on the ticket. So this is how Laravel Reverb works, and I hope you understood this particular thing, and I would be really interested to know what kind of real-time application you have created using Reverb. Comment below, and if you have any questions, definitely feel free to reach out through the comments or through my Discord server. That's about it. If you like this video, then do click on the thumbs up icon and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.